You are not going to believe how awesome our show is going to be today. We are at the 400th show, 400 shows. I can't even believe it. Thank you. Today, we brought back one of my favorite guests and one of your favorite guests because, oh my God, you guys were just wild. Felicia Slattery is joining us today. Thank you for being here, Felicia, by the way.
Hi, Vicki. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I want to let you know you are on the Success Secrets for Business, Family, and Life channel. This is the Coffee Break Show. I'm Vicki Hellman. It's brought to you by Metadime Digital Network. And today we are celebrating the 400th show. I wanted to bring back Felicia. She was the very first Wednesday welcome guest that I ever did. And I wanted to have a guest that made me feel comfortable, that made me relax during the time, because, you know, it's always the first time, and that first time you want your show to be right, and et cetera. And she joined it. I see you guys jumping on. Do me a favor, put your name down below. I know you're thinking, what is Felicia doing in the kitchen? I thought we were going to talk about how to pivot in 2021. And we're going to talk about how to pivot. Thank you. Happy 400th show. Thank you, guys. I see you doing that. I'm really excited to be bringing to you someone that I think is one of the best people in business who know how to pivot. And we're going to be talking about pivoting in 2021 while we're going to make what is the thing we're making today? It's the 400th show
celebration. It's a lemon cake. We're going to do it in a mug. So like you get to make your cake and eat it too. And you don't have to share with anybody because it only serves one person.
I know. So today we're going to talk about something that's really important. And before we start, because the cake's going to take 5 minutes and it's a celebration of that. But Felicia, I want you to tell people what you did to pivot in 2021, because I know you had 2 or 3, your husband's business, your business, etc. And tell us what you did and what it means to be able, I think the flexibility of being able to pivot is so important right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when the pandemic hit last March, I had a very healthy 6-figure business. As a professional speaker, I was training speakers. I was networking and teaching people how to network. My husband still has a personal training studio, and literally overnight, both of our businesses went from comfortable 6-figure businesses to nothing, like that. And it was terrifying. I'm not going to lie. Oh, that was a lot of white knuckle days there.
Yeah, it would be.
He was able to easily pivot his business to training. Instead of training his clients in person, face to face, he went online, and most of them were super excited to do it. So that was great. So we didn't lose all of our income right away, but I lost all of mine because I don't know if you heard, but every event in the world was canceled. Every event in the world. Yeah. Nobody was a speaker. Nobody wanted to learn how to be a speaker. And yeah, there were some people who needed to learn how to use Zoom. And I don't know about you, but I've been to some of those meetings where some of those people could have used some speech training, you know what I'm saying? But they were not the ones who were looking for help. They were like, oh, I'm just going to turn my camera on and talk so you can look up my nose or look at my ceiling or look at my forehead, like, oh, whatever. So those people didn't really care about getting training, let's be honest. So I was like, all right, I could do what some of the other speaker trainers were doing and saying, well, it's not going to last forever. And here's how you do it online. And I did that. I did that for the first couple, 2-3 weeks. I did lots of free training, lots of community service kinds of things just to help people not freak out. And then I said, okay, I need to make a living because, you know, house to pay for.
Yeah.
So I found this online community called OutSchool that is a platform, an educational platform for students ages 3 to 18. So it's a kids kind of a thing. And I thought, well, I used to be a college professor and I taught communication to 18-plus-year-olds at the university level. And I thought, all right, well, I'll just teach an 18-year-old in college is the same as an 18-year-old on Zoom.
Yep.
I'll teach my communication classes through this platform to those older teens. No problem. So I signed up. I did that. And I found out very quickly that that platform also allowed to teach cooking classes. Now we have to go back like 30 some years in my life. I was at a point in my teens. There's one thing I've done longer than public speaking, and that's cooking. I started taking cooking classes when I was a freshman in high school. I took every foods and nutrition class you could take, because back then they still offered foods classes in high school. It's a crime that they don't anymore, but whatever, I digress. So I took every class that I could in high school. By the time I finished high school, I had
Wow.
I had qualified to be like a gourmet cook.
Wow.
Yeah. But I also
That is the Italian way, though.
halfway through high school, I found public speaking, and I started to compete, and I was good at it. And I started to win a lot, and I got a
You're really
scholarship
good at it.
college. So I had a decision to make at that point in my young little life. Was I going to go after public speaking, or was I going to go after culinary arts and go to culinary school? And I decided to do the public speaking route. Spoiler alert, not. And it worked out great for me. But I always continued to cook. The reason I chose to go the public speaking route rather than the cooking route is because at that time in my life, I didn't know of what else you could do other than work in a restaurant kitchen. And I had waited tables through high school. And I know that job is a super stressful job.
Super hard.
The hours are incredible, like over the top. And I knew someday I wanted to be a mom and be home with my kids. And so that wasn't going to be a life for me. So thinking ahead, I thought, all right, well, I can study communication and public speaking. I don't know where it's going to go, what kind of job I can get doing that. But at least I know I don't have to be working on the line in a restaurant. So that's what precipitated that decision. And so all over the years, when I went away to college, I studied abroad for a semester in Paris, France. And when I was there, I took a cooking class at Le Cordon Bleu, famous international cooking school. So I studied there, cooking classes. And then I just have always really been fascinated. I read cookbooks the way other people read self-help books. I mean, I read every page of the book. I read all the details and the directions and the
Robin does that as well.
I love it. And so, and I started a food blog probably, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years ago. I started a food blog just to keep my recipes so that when I made something and it was good, everybody was like, "Oh, Mom, make this again." I'm like, "Oh, I should write that down." So I just write it. And since social media was a thing, I've always said, you want to talk on social media about 5 main topics. One of my main topics, obviously, was public speaking, communication, and business. I talk about my family a lot. I talk about my faith, and I talk about food. And so this is not at all new to my interests, not at all new to my background. It may be new to people who are like, "Oh, wait, what's Felicia doing now?" Who maybe weren't necessarily following me on social media for a bunch of years or whatever, right? So I loved teaching. I taught my first cooking class. I went all in. I did a 5-day cooking camp, and I was hooked from the first session. The students loved it. They had a blast. I stood right here at this very spot with this very setup in my kitchen, and we just had the greatest time. I had students then saying, "Well, what other cooking classes are you teaching?" I was like, "I don't know. I'll come up with something." And then next thing I know, my camp was selling out, which was awesome. And so now, and I'm still teaching. I'm teaching a weekly class to, again, teenagers called Meatless Mondays, because during the time of my discovering of the ideal diet for myself and my body, I came across plant-based eating and cooking. And I've lost weight. In fact, these pants that I'm wearing today, I haven't worn these in years.
Fantastic.
Because they were too small, but I knew someday I'd fit in them again.
She's like, "I'm keeping them because I'll fit in them again." This is fantastic.
Yeah.
So
you got to be optimistic, Vicki. You know.
Let me ask you, because we're going to go into the cooking thing in a minute. But what I think is really important was there were 3 things I noticed about your pivot. About your pivoting. One is that you evaluated what you already knew. You didn't try to pivot into something with this huge learning curve. Then number two, you adapted to a platform. You said, I went to this platform where they allowed you to teach, you accept, and because I was already a professor, and these experiences that people have. And the third thing was you were open to an opportunity. You saw that you could teach communications, but then there was suddenly this cooking class. And since it was part of your past experience, that pivot seemed to be much easier. So let me ask you something. If you were talking to the audience right now, which you are, what would you suggest for them when they evaluate how they're going to pivot, or what things they could do to pivot? And maybe something else that you noticed is that pivoting can be fun. I always thought, it wasn't until I just talked to you, I was like, okay, pivoting is stressful, because I had to pivot. We all, every single one of my live gigs that you're dependent on, this is where you go get your business going. You get on that stage, you do the program, here's your pitch, you go this, new clients, and then your business grows from gig to gig to gig as a speaker, and now no speaking. And suddenly this incredible pivot. So what would you advise? What would you advise families that are thinking about having to pivot? Maybe some do's and some don'ts, maybe 3, I don't know, just do's and don'ts. And I'm going to just let you speak to that.
Okay. So, I really think that years ago, I taught a class with a colleague and friend, Tony Leidig, and we called it Your Genius Factor. And in that class, we talked about, taught people, how do you find your genius? And really pivoting can be about that. So you're not just a genius in one only thing, or you may be a genius in the thing, but you don't want to be so narrow in your thinking. So for me, literally my whole life, like when I was a little, like 6 years old, when my sister was like, can we play a game? Can we play school? Yep, we can play school, only if I could be the teacher. So for me, teaching, that's me. That is who I am meant to be. I've done all of the classes and the tests and all of those things, and the Strengths Finder and all that. And my skills are teaching, writing, and speaking. And encouraging. That's the fourth one. So teaching, writing, speaking, and encouraging. So that I did that with public speaking for a bunch of years. But then I stepped back and I said, wait, I can do that in anything. So my suggestion for you is look at what your gifting is and don't be so narrow about it. Like, oh, it's this, right? Like for me, it was like, well, I'm great on stage. Like that's my thing. What do I do? There's no stages. You have to get quiet with yourself. And actually the first thing that I'm going to share is grieve the loss of the thing that's lost. So don't feel like, oh, well, I got to just immediately feel great and excited about this thing. And like, if you've got to make a pivot and you cannot any longer, or choose not to any longer do the thing that you were doing before, and that feels like a loss to you, you've got to take a minute and breathe, right? Just grieve that loss. Like if it's over and it's got to be over, then just take a breath and it's okay, right? Take a day, take a couple of days, take a couple of weeks, whatever, roll up on the couch with a nice cup of coffee and a blanket and just binge Netflix for like whatever. Right? Don't do any self-destructive habits, but just give yourself whatever it takes. Journal for a while. How do you feel about having to say goodbye to that other thing, or maybe not say goodbye to it, but just put it to bed for a little while until maybe after all of this is over, maybe it could wake back up again and be something different, right? So that's the first thing, is to grieve the loss of the thing. The second thing is then look at what are your giftings? What are you good at? And don't be specific about a niche or the kind of people that you help in this instance, which is the total opposite advice that I usually give, right? Like know who you are, know who you speak to, blah, blah, blah. But if you're pivoting, that was before. Like, all right, now let's remove all of those limitations. What is it at your essence, at your core, that you're excellent at? That's the second thing. The third thing is then Remember what you are passionate about. For me, it's food. I get lost in my kitchen, like literally. I will watch cooking shows till the cows come home. And I don't even eat most of the stuff that's on most TV cooking shows anymore. I don't eat meat. I don't eat dairy. I don't eat eggs. And they're making all this stuff. And last night I was taking notes because I was like, oh, I can make those stuffed shells. I just don't need to use cheese. I'll make my tofu regatta. Oh, I love how they did that. I love that technique. Like I'm always constantly learning. So what are you excited about that you can get lost in? I would have weekends where I wasn't at events. I'd be standing right here in my kitchen, chopping, happily cooking for hours for my family and enjoying new recipes. Like, what's the thing you can get lost in? The thing that you do and you're like, yeah, but nobody's going to pay me to cook for my family. Well, maybe I get paid to cook for my family every Monday night. Yes, I do, because I make dinner. I go, what are we going to have for dinner this week? And I put the recipe together and I send the ingredient list to my students and I make dinner. And we have class at 4:00 because that's good for me. I have class at 4:00. I have students from California. They have it for lunch. It's fine, whatever, right? I have another student on the East Coast. She's like, yeah, 5:00 is too early for us to eat, so we eat around 7. Like, whatever. Here's how you heat it up later, right? But I get paid to make dinner for my family. How about that, right? How fun is that? And also, now I get to share my joy of cooking and plant-based eating with other people. So, what are you excited about in your life that you love? That maybe you don't know necessarily. How can I get paid to do that? There's a way. Just go through those 3 steps. And then from there, that's where you start the pivot.
That is like some fantastic, powerful things that we have going on when we make the pivot. Now, I love that. A long time ago, I saw Ellen and she was talking about, why would I go to a therapist and pay them to listen to me talk when I can go on stage and talk to an entire audience who'll pay me to listen to me? And that's kind of just what you did, that pivot, that turnaround. It's also mindset pivot that she has. What do you like? What are you going to do? What do you want to do? Having to pivot. I loved the talk that you just said about grieving your loss, because a lot of times we only grieve when we lose people or dogs. We don't grieve when we lose, jobs that we loved or companies that we built or situations that were lucrative and they feel steadfast. You lose that steadfastness. You have to grieve that because you know your system, you know your business, you know how to get customers, and you're just like a well-oiled machine. And then the universe comes by and says pandemic, and you're like, yeah, and everything stops. And I love what you said about allowing yourself to grieve, allowing yourself to have the upset. You should be upset at the loss. So I also like what you said about learning and constantly learning. The way that you did the food shows, which I really love the food shows too, because there's something interesting about learning how other cultures cook stuff, or how other cultures use, spices in food. Now, I want to go into this plant-based diet thing because I will tell you, everyone knows Robin. Robin was like a vegetarian for 30 years, and still, it's predominantly what we eat in the house is vegetarian cooking. And I got to admit, I still like meat a lot. Give me a burger and I'm happy. But I have been enjoying more plant-based foods. But what I want to know is, why did you go into plant-based cooking, and what was it that attracted you about plant-based cooking? And then after that, I want to go in and let's do a little plant-based cooking here. Let's see how we make our 400 show cake today. I want to just go here. My definition of grieving is setback for greater comeback. Yes, thank you for that. I love this. Thank you for that. Really touched my heart. Need to give yourself time to grieve for the loss of whatever. That's true, because Robin just made a pivot from a 35-year career where she was at the top of the top of the top of the top, something she really enjoyed and was good at, just like you was speaking. And so there is letting yourself grieve that. So when significant changes happen and you need to pivot, take a breath and mourn the loss. This is so interesting that people are saying this inside the show today, because I think people didn't didn't take a moment to mourn the loss of what's happening with them. So here, that's so true. Teaching is a strength that is transferable to almost any industry. And actually, I like that. This is the power of knowing who you are. Like she could name her 4 skill sets right up. It was, what was it? Teaching, and you are a good speaker, by the way. I'm just going to nail it right down. I know you guys are seeing it, but I've been on stage with this woman and I presented and been in her audience. She's a great speaker. Teaching, speaking,
writing,
of course. She got some encouragement and encouraging. Those are 4 strong skill sets. And she does have some best-selling books out already.
I do.
So answering that question, going back to the previous.
Why did I start plant-based?
Yes.
All right. So Vicki, I know you know this. I was diagnosed in 2012. I had to remember, like, what year was it? 2012. I was diagnosed with lung cancer. I never smoked a day in my life. I did not work around, I did not work in an environment with any smoke. I had no secondhand smoke exposure in most of my life. I mean, back when I worked in restaurants in the 80s, before they passed the laws about you can't smoke in restaurants. Yeah, I was, every once in a while I'd work in the smoking section, but 30 years later, that's not going to give you cancer. You know what I'm saying? I did not work in or near any things with asbestos or radon. My doctor said you have 0 risk factors. In fact, I can't even count how many times he said, you can't have cancer. You have no risk. There's no reason for you to have cancer. Ha 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 ha. Joke was on him. I had lung cancer. So once we figured out what it was, they said, well, we don't know why you got this, but we know it's gone. And I was like, and there's a whole long story, which I'm not getting into today, but it was a miracle and I had surgery and I didn't need chemo or any of that. It was fine. But the thing that stuck with me is we don't know why you got it. So what did that say to me in that moment? It says, if I keep doing what I have done, I'm going to get the results that I got. I did not want to get lung cancer again. So at that moment I said, all right, so clearly if there's nothing outside of me that is causing it, it's something inside of me. And I control what I put inside of me every single day with every single bite, right? Right. So that's when I started to really investigate food, starting in 2012. And I tried a variety of different diets for different purposes. I did gluten-free for a few years. I had some success with that. But I gained weight. And so then I joined the keto crowd and I lost like 30 pounds right away in the first 5-6 months, which was awesome. And I did that for a while and then weight started coming back. And then I visited a doctor and she said, and at that point, she tested my blood and my cholesterol, which had always been very low. My blood pressure had always been low, typically, other than the lung cancer thing. I've been a very healthy person. And so she said, your cholesterol is very high. And I was like, wait, what? My cholesterol's never been high. And she, we talked about my diet and she goes, oh, the keto thing. That's why. She said, you might want to try plant-based. And at that time I was also experiencing some kind of GI gut issues. Like every time I would eat, I would blow up and look like I was 7 months pregnant, no matter what I ate. So even if it was gluten-free, even whatever, every single meal. Imagine that process of your belly growing and shrinking and growing and shrinking every single day, every single meal. It was tiresome, which is why I was seeing the doctor. And so then she did the blood test and she was like, oh, wait. And so I said, all right. And at that time I had been masterminding with a really great friend. Her name is Kathleen Gage. She has a podcast about plant-based eating, plant-based cooking for health, or plant-based eating for health. Shout out to Kathleen. And she had been plant-based at that point for a year and been trying to get me on board. And so when the doctor said go plant-based, I was like, all right, I'll go plant-based. She said, and the doctor said, listen, you don't have to go all in. If you do it 90, 95%, that might be enough. And I was like, hey, I could do 90, 95%. So I could still have, like Vicki said, I could still have my burger once in a while. I could still have a piece of pizza with cheese on it once in a while. All right. And so I did. I went almost all in with the plant-based and I noticed some changes. And I thought, I like these changes in my body, including losing weight, which I didn't do it specifically for that, but it's actually plant-based eating is one of the best ways to eat way more food and lose more weight. eat more food and lose weight. Yeah, I'm all about that. Let's do it. And so I learned about that, which was amazing. I'm working on a certification actually right now, a plant-based eating certification and cooking and all of that. So nutrition kind of a thing. So I'm still learning about this. But so that was about a year and a half or so ago, a little bit more than that. We're coming close on to 2 years now. And it's been just really amazing. I've enjoyed learning all of the different ways of cooking and the different ingredients, because they're not always all the same ingredients, but that's how I got involved with plant-based eating.
I think that's so interesting too, because one of the things I've noticed, I give Robin a lot of ribbing because she is very, very just like you, what you put in your body. She's like you. The first line of defense is what you put in your body. And she has this thing where she's always walking around saying food is medicine, food is medicine. So we do a lot of juicing, but you're right about noticing the difference inside your body, your energy level and things like that. And that's a powerful thing that's saying. So let's have a little fun and make a cupcake.
Cake. I love it. All right.
Yeah. And I want you guys to be able to see everything really clear. So I'm going to go widescreen and just let Felicia have the floor, and let's have some fun, shall we?
Awesome. All right.
Let's go.
So we are going to make a lemon mug cake. I don't know if you've ever made a cake in a mug before. They've been all the rage. My kids make them all the time. And so, but before the whole plant-based thing. So I owe this recipe as a thanks to my editor. I have a cookbook that's coming out, will be out around Mother's Day. And my editor said, I have a lemon cake in that recipe, different than this one. And they said, can you come up with a lemon drizzle that doesn't have sugar in it? Because one of the plant-based eating protocols does not include salt, sugar, or oil. And I was like, a glaze without powdered sugar. Okay, I can do it. And so yesterday that I actually came up with this lemon glaze, which I had a little bit left over, and I needed something to put my lemon glaze on. So I came up with this lemon mug cake. So that's what we're going to do today. All right. So super easy. First thing, there's only 5 ingredients, plus just a tiny pinch of salt. So this is a little bit of this is oats, and I just took my oats, just regular old-fashioned oats. I put them in my blender, and I ground them up so that now I have oat flour, okay? And I'm going to take 6 tablespoons of this oat flour. And, with baking, sometimes you need to be precise. I'm not too precious about a lot of things. So, you're not going to see me measuring perfectly. So that's 1. I have to count out loud. 2, because if I don't count out loud, you know what I'm saying? 3, I'll forget where I am. 4, 5, and then 6. And I made way more than I needed because my younger daughter got to taste one of these cakes yesterday, but my older daughter didn't. And she's like, no fair. It's like, don't worry, I got you covered, baby. I'll make her one later. All right, so I got so all that's in here right now is oats. Tons of fiber, great energy. They'll get you through the day, right? Lots of good energy there. All right, we're going to add just a half a teaspoon of baking powder. I've got a 1/4 teaspoon measure here. So I'm going to do a half a teaspoon. So that's 2 1/4. You get to do math in cooking. This is the only math that I'm actually good at. Don't tell anybody. Anybody who knows me knows. All right. So there's my baking powder. Next thing I'm going to do is I already have, look at these lemons. These lemons I got yesterday from Whole Foods. They came. Oh my gosh. I love going grocery shopping. I know I'm a freak, right? But I love it. I love going to the store. I love like pinching the stuff and smelling the things and seeing the colors, and I love it. But during quarantine time, I've discovered that you can have groceries delivered to your house. I know that's been a thing for a while, but so all you need to place is a $35 minimum order on Whole Foods, and they just bring the food right to your door. I was like, what? So I ordered lemons. They brought me these lemons. Like, look how big this lemon is. It's like half the size of my face. They're giant. So anyway, I have one that's left over from yesterday. So what I'm going to do is I washed it already, and I'm just going to juice it because I need both the juice and the zest. The zest is the peel, and I'm just going to squeeze my juice from this lemon. And I'm telling you, this whole hands-on thing is super fun for me. I love it. So, all right. So there's my lemon juice, and I'm going to use the zest first. So the reason, typically, if I'm just using the lemon, I'll zest it first before I cut it. But in this case, because it was cut, if I started squeezing on it, I'd get juice all over my hands, and then that juice would be wasted. And I don't like to waste anything. You know what I'm saying? So I juiced it first. And now I'm going to take my lemon, and I just want the yellow part. I don't want any of the white part. That white part is called pith, and it's really bitter. We don't want that. So I'm just going to use my microplane grater here. And the recipe calls for a half a teaspoon of lemon zest. So, it's probably about most of the yellow from this lemon. And so I'm just going to kind of move it around, and on my little grater here. Oh my gosh, this smells so good. So when you do this, it starts to release the essential oils. Are you a fan of essential oils? I love essential oils. So you can't get more essential than the actual oil from the thing. Oh my gosh, and it smells so good. I love lemons. They're so bright and summery. So anyway, all right, I got my lemon in here, and that's about all. I could probably do a little more, but that's enough for today, for now. All right, so I got that in there. I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of my fresh lemon juice. By the way, when a recipe calls for lemon juice, do not buy that thing in the little orange or little yellow plastic container from your, look at the ingredients. It's not just lemon juice, okay? Juice, just squeeze a lemon, please, for the love of all that is good in the kitchen. All right, I need 2 tablespoons. Now, something interesting is going to happen here. The acid in the lemon is going to react with the baking powder, and there's like a little foaming action happening in my mug. Notice that I'm not even using a different cooking vessel. I'm just doing it all right here in the mug. It's so fun. All right, and then this is a tablespoon. This is called date syrup. Date syrup is a whole food plant-based sweetener. If you don't have any date syrup at home, which you make from scratch, so you probably wouldn't, you can just use 100% pure maple syrup, and it's the same result, and it's also fine. It's actually, of all of the possible sweeteners, maple syrup is one of the best and most healthy for your body. Date syrup, I feel like, is a little bit better because it starts out as whole dates, and it's just dates and water in here. That's it. And I just boil it down, and it's a long process. But and I save it in just one of these little bottles. I save all my little bottles of vinegars and little drinks and stuff like that my kids get, and I just use them for stuff like this. So what do I need? I need a tablespoon of this. So there that is. If you like yours a little sweeter, you can overflow like you saw me do. All right, and then it just needs just the tiniest ever little pinch of salt. I don't use a lot of salt in my cooking, but when we're baking, that baking powder needs to react, and it reacts with the salt, and there's sciencey things, and I'm not getting into all that right now. So, all right, so that's it. That's my ingredients. Like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ingredients if you count the salt. And so I'm just stirring this up, and then just using a regular old spoon, and it looks kind of like oatmeal, actually, or more like a cream of wheat, because the oats are all ground up. And I'm going to put it in my microwave, uncovered. You don't want to cover it. And I'm going to do 90 seconds. That's 1.5 minutes. In 1.5 minutes, my friends, we are going to have the most delicious lemon cake. Oh my gosh, it's so good. All right, I'm going to grab a plate. Don't blink because I won't be fast. I'll be fast. Here I go. All right, I got my plate. I didn't go far. I got my plate, so because I'll spoon it out on the plate so you can see what it looks like. And then I'm going to take my glaze from yesterday and just kind of stir it up a little bit here because it was in the fridge. So it's more like frosting right now than it is like glaze. But this also does not have any sugar in it at all. It's lemon juice. It's coconut, unsweetened, shredded coconut that's like ground till it's smooth in the food processor. And I actually have the recipe here. So it's 3 tablespoons of unsweetened coconut, 3 tablespoons of a plant-based milk. So an almond milk or a soy milk or a rice milk or a hemp milk or an oat milk or whatever kind of alternative milk you like, unsweetened, unflavored. 2 tablespoons of maple syrup or date syrup. I used maple syrup for that one. And then half of a lemon juice. So that's all this is. And I'm going to use this as my frosting. You can see it's about the consistency of a frosting. So, and it's healthy. Like you could, if you wanted to, you could eat this cake for breakfast because it's oats. Like you eat oats for breakfast. Yes. It's like oats and lemon juice. and a little maple syrup, which I use when I make my oatmeal. I use maple syrup in my oats. So, okay, my cake is ready. I'm going to let it cool for just a moment, a minute, like tops, right? Because I don't want to pull it out while it's still like, you know, when you put something in a microwave, it all kind of jumps around. It's all excited. I need to get it less excited in there. So it cools for just a second. And then I'm going to spoon it out onto my plate, and I'm going to put my my frosting on. And then I didn't use every bit of the of my lemon, so I'm just going to use a little tiny bit more of my lemon zest to garnish. And then we'll taste it and we'll see how it is. And maybe we'll sing happy birthday to Vicky's show. Oh my gosh, that would be fun. We'll sing happy birthday. And I'm going to apologize right now for my happy birthday singing voice. I was in the choir before COVID. Because, you know, I don't know if you know, but you can't be in a choir because you sit right next to people. And so it is not my zone of genius. Singing is not. I just do it for the love of singing and praying. And so it's just so much fun for me. But I am not the greatest. Not gonna lie, not the greatest singer. But when you're in a choir, you don't need to be the greatest. You just need to hold your own and sing your line. And I'm good at that. So anyway, we'll sing happy birthday in just a second here. I feel like this is good. All right. So it's already, I don't have any butter in here. There's no oil. You saw everything I put in here, right? And it's pulling itself away from the edges very easily. And so I'm just using my knife. I'm not even really running it around the edge. I'm just kind of scooting it out from the bottom so that if there's anything that's sticking to the bottom, it's going to come out. And then I'm just going to put my plate on top like this. I'm going to turn it over, and we're going to keep our fingers crossed that this comes out. And there it is. Look at, there's my cake. How cute is this little cake? Little mug cake. We made cake in a mug in the microwave in 90 seconds. What? All right. So now I'm going to frost it. I got my little frosting here. And it is super moist. I'm feeling it here. I can it's very moist. There's a little crack in it. Now listen, here's the thing. If you're not on camera, you're not taking pictures of your food, you can absolutely just eat this right out of the mug, right? So it's really not designed to be dumped out of the mug, but so I have a little, I'm going to show you. It's not perfect. There's a little crack on that side, but all right. I don't have any problem licking my fingers. I'm not going to lie. All right. So, cause I'm the only one eating this. If I was cooking for other people, you know, I would wash my hands. All right. Clean hands, sharp knife. That's what it's all about. And you always got to put your hair back. So that's why my hair is in a pony. All right. So I'm just putting a little bit more of the zest on here as a garnish. And I don't have do I have a birthday candle? My daughter has a birthday in December. I'm looking, I don't have a candle nearby. Darn it. All right, I have a flip though. All right, who's going to sing with me? I know it's going to sound silly. Sing at your house. It's fine. And we're going to sing happy birthday to the coffee break show. That's what we're going to do it. You ready? Here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Vicky and the Coffee Break Show. Happy 400th show birthday to you. All right, let's taste this cake and see if it's any good. All right, so the cool thing about this is I know you got to laugh at my singing, right?
It was so sweet.
It's melting. Oh,
that's good. That. It looks delicious.
So it's like a glaze. Oh, I love it. All right, I'm going to take a taste of my lemon cake. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that looks really good.
It was so good.
Yeah, I know your daughter liked it because I saw the video. She was like, this is really good.
I know. She's so funny. She's hilarious. So that girl, she's just turned 16. She started on TikTok, on social media for video and kids and stuff. Not kids. Last January, she's got somewhere between 13 and 14,000 followers.
Wow.
And she was like super shy on the camera yesterday. She was like, Mom, are you kidding me right now? And then after I heard her turn that video off, she came in after. She goes, Mom, that cake was really good. And I was like, I know, right?
So while you're enjoying that piece of cake with us, I want to pop over because people have been talking all the way through the show. Here, I love being plant-based for 25 years. I got the Vegetarian Times magazine and then made it at least half the recipes every month. I learned gobs about being a healthy plant-based person. And I will let you know I'm very grateful for that as well. And I do know that Robin reads the cookbooks just like you, page for page for page for page for page for page. It's like a science. Somebody here, I'm not sure who it is, might be Ryan, might be Ross, might be someone, I'm not sure. My son has made mug cakes and I think mug cookies too. And I'm like, ooh, what are mug cookies? Sign me up. Somebody else said here, Felicia, I love your nails and your apron. I do too. I think they're really cute. She's just cute that way. Let's see. You are my soul sister. I could spend all day in the grocery store in the fresh veggies and fruit section looking at the fruit. I can attest that that is true. I will say that Susie Nelson says, great information so far. Funny, Felicia. Yes, I know. She's really, I love that. She's very edutaining. That is what I love about having Felicia on there. Again, I love essential oils. Lemon is invigorating. Yes. And look at this. It sounds like mug cake dessert tonight. Thank you for that. And for those of you, thank you. Happy birthday for your 400th show. Thank you very much, everyone. Oh my gosh, you guys, I can't get to all of these. I'm just going to go down. I think I'm drowning in saliva. There you go. Felicia, that cake looks awesome. Wish we could taste it online. Yes, there is no scratch and sniff. Okay, thank you. It's Tracy Steffens that made that comment. Thank you for being here, Tracy, as we, are doing the cooking show with Felicia, and we're talking about making the great pivot. And what I want to say is, when you make the great pivot, when you're making things adjusted for 2021, it is using the skills that you already have. You see, you're not starting over. You're not starting at ground zero. You already have experience. You have life experience. You have educational experience. You have career experience. You're not starting at zero. You're reevaluating how you want to move forward. The reason I brought Felicia on is she was my very first guest. And I kind of like to think of it as Saturday Night Live. You know, those shows where they're like, how many times have you been the host of Saturday Night Live? Well, this is Felicia's second appearance on there. She's already pivoted. And I watched her pivot, by the way. We talked about it in her feed as I saw it happen. That's why I knew she was really great at it. But being that she was my very first guest, I invited her because it made me feel comfortable interviewing a guest, and you can obviously see why. And every time that you make a pivot and you make things like this cooking show that she has made, and I want to let them know, let me get that banner off because it is just cut off your head. There we go. Okay, now it's like, hi, she's gone. Thanks. Sorry about that. One of the things that I enjoy about her pivot is because she really thought about it. And really, I think you thought so in-depthly about it. I've known Felicia for quite a while, and she has several best-selling books. And those best-selling books surround and are about how to be a professional speaker, because that is her thing. She's very good at it. I know. I've taken one of her courses with her, teaching me. And that speaking career that just came after that. And I look at that, you can always improve on speaking and networking and things like that. But when you made the pivot, you made a total pivot. So now you have a book coming out in, it's Mother's Day. Did you say it was?
Yes. So, all right. So here's something I just am tickled about, Vicki, I have to tell you, which you didn't know. Yes, I have a cookbook back in August, September, I had a conversation with a publisher who said, hey, the publisher reached out to Kathleen because of her podcast. And they said, Kathleen, could you do a cookbook? And Kathleen's like, no, I cannot. she's not a cook. But she knows I am. And she said, but wait, I want to introduce you to my friend. So she opened the door for me. So networking, friends, networking, all about it. And so I had a conversation with them. And they said, could you do a plant-based cookbook? And I was like, yes, I can.
Rising up to the opportunity.
Like, figure it out later. Say it. Like, that was, for me, that's been like my secret. Like when people go like, what's your secret wish? Like my secret wish is to have a cooking show and have cookbooks. And I was like, wait, what? And then they go, we'll pay you for the cookbook. And I was like, you're going to give me money to do the thing?
That I love?
That I love, yes. So on December 21st, I turned in my last part that I had to do. So I had all of my
Congratulations.
a lot for the last few months. I'll tell you what. And then today, actually, I just did another step. So they moved. They're advancing it through the process, and so now it's on its way to the typesetter. Woo! Which will be fun. And so we'll be able to start marketing it and talking more about the exact title and the exact content and all that as we get closer, about 6 or 7 weeks away. So they said mid-May. I'm calling it Mother's Day because that sounds nice. So
Yeah.
that's happening. But here's something really fascinating is when you're good at a thing and people know you are good at the thing, you continue to get opportunities. So I talked to somebody yesterday about speaking on a cruise ship for this.
Oh,
Going
fantastic.
on a vegan cruise as
Fantastic.
the cooking demo, one of the speakers. And I was like,
Yes.
so it's like taking my whole experience and background of being a speaker and that kind of thing, and taking my new passion that I'm excited about and just bringing them together so beautifully. And I'm not announcing anything because it hasn't happened yet, but it was just the first conversation. But the doors are opening. And that's another thing that I wanted to point out, Vicki, is when you make a pivot based on your giftings, based on the skills and abilities that you have developed over the years and that people recognize you already for, it's very easy to have doors and opportunities open, especially when you have been a good networker. If you've connected with other people, if you've openly and freely shared who you are and what you're about, and cheered other people's successes and mourned their losses, whatever the losses may have been, or helped other people in any way. Those people are watching you and they're excited for you when you do something that you are excited about.
Yep.
And so, will there be some people who are like, wait, what? She's went from speaking to cooking? That's so weird. Yeah, there will be. I don't care. I'm 50. Like I literally, it's like now, it's not now or never, but it's now. Like this is it. Like when I hit 50 in June, I was like, this is something that I have wanted to do. I don't is there ever going to be a more perfect opportunity when there's literally no events in the world for me to figure out how to do this whole cooking thing? And is there a way that I might be able to make a living at it? Maybe, I don't know. That was back in June. And now I'm like, apparently, yes, there is a way. And I'm excited about it. And I actually was talking to someone who is starting a television network. And she said, I would love to have your cooking show on my network. I was like, wait, what? Okay. So, it's like things are moving very quickly, and they can move quickly when you are working in alignment with
your wheelhouse.
Yes, exactly. So
yeah, that's the whole point right there. I think there's so much to be said. And if you didn't listen to that, rewind it and listen to it again, because part of the reason you get offered or you get offerings is because you understand who you are, what your wheelhouses are. You hone those skills and you infuse those skills. You don't ignore them. You don't leave them. You don't go away. And you think in your mind, I love the cruise ship thing because I know this just cracked me up. At the very wealthy hotels, like people who make 9 figures and above kind of hotels, they offer cooking classes there as like an
enrichment experience, right?
Yes, because you get to cook your meal. Why? Because when you make 9 figures, you haven't cooked your meal for a long time. Like you haven't gone to a grocery store in a long time. So they get these professional chefs and these professional cooking people. They tell you what you're going to make. And the whole evening is spent cooking your own dinner. And you pay to cook your own dinner. And at the time I did it, we were chopping and stuff like that. And it's all fun. And you're like, I just paid to have my own meal cooked for me. And, you're sitting down there in this great food and this great fun with lots of people. And it's really a fun experience. So the cruise ships that do this, that just makes sense. That just makes sense. And at a time right now, I'm really listening deeply to you when you talk about what you're putting in your body. Oh my gosh, you guys, they're talking a mile a minute really fast. Let's see. Wow, you guys, thank you. Hi, Sean. This is the guy that is my kind of personal trainer right here. Get to see this focus today. This is really incredible, this plant-based cooking thing that we've got going. Does Felicia still teach public speaking?
For anybody who wants to learn it, absolutely. I have my signaturespeechsecrets.com is still up. Like all of my online it's all still there. It still lives. And I have a Facebook group that people post in once in a while. So yeah, I mean, if there are people who want some help with public speaking, I'm more than happy.
She's your gal. She's your gal. I took her class, I don't know, a long time ago when you put it out, because I always like to improve on speaking. And I saw her on stage. I've spoken on the same stage as she has. And I like her style. And I was like, okay, what else can I learn? So this is very impressive. 2 great words for success: leverage and monetize. And that's what she's done. She's leveraged her skills to monetize them into new businesses. Yes, congratulations. That is monumental. Thank you. It is awesome. You will love that. Yes. And I'm not even sure what you'll love that, but it will be.
I bet it was the cruise.
It was Susie. She likes that cruise stuff. Yes. Her and Lou.
Well, here's the thing. So I've spoken on cruise ships before. I've been, for business and entrepreneurial kinds of things. And in fact, I was booked to speak this past November, but again, no events, no cruises. Yeah. So, but as far as I know, I'm booked for the reboot of that one for sure still. But, that'll be this coming November, I guess. Mm-hmm. But, it would be about, it's just so fascinating to me. So I love cruising. I love cooking, love teaching, love speaking, all the same things.
What a great gig.
So awesome. Yeah, it'll be fun.
That's just a great gig.
Yeah.
Fantastic pivot. Yes, it is. Fantastic pivot. Blending all your skills and talents, and then superimposing your passion. That is the best pivot. And what I want to say today is many of us are going to have to pivot in 2021. I did. She did. She's got a book coming out in May. I got a book coming out next week. And there's a lot of new things that are coming into this area. If you have to pivot, it doesn't have to be painful. She took something that she was totally passionate about and pivoted it into her and monetized it, leveraged it, monetized it. And the opportunities keep expanding for her. And that can happen for you too. We don't have to pivot out of dread. We can pivot out of opportunity. We can pivot out of building the actual life we want to have. And that's so important. And okay, what is this vegan stuff going on here? MJ, right. Leverage and monetize, speaking about your cooking passion on a vegan cruise. Way to go, Felicia. I know, isn't that great? Oh my God, like Vicki went over yesterday, mindset of meaning, purpose, and adding determination equal opportunities and success. Yes, this is what we're going through right now. We are moving through these things right here. And here, it's not like you had to spend thousands of dollars. She's in her kitchen at her own home. So let me ask you something. Oh, look at this. Here's the man right here. I knew he'd be popping on soon. I missed it.
I made mug cake, Brian. I'll send you the recipe. Actually, you guys,
it's in there.
I think
it's
Karen
already in there,
right?
Yeah, we have the recipe all in there. Brian, you're another hero of mine in that way too. That has done that barbecue, but that plant-based thing we're going on. Yes, sister, this is so important. I'm sorry you missed it. Look at him. He's like, dang. But Brian Rogers is hashtag replay
heroes.
Yeah, he is. He is a plant-based hero, definitely. So yes, he's got this. Yay, Felicia. Let's take a look at this right now. Here's a link to Felicia's classes, training, consulting, speaking training. If you're interested in what what else she does, because I got to tell you, you are one of the most multi-talented women and an extraordinary mother. You have really confident, beautiful daughters. They're so talented. I mean, they sing, they act, and they dance, and they're always into something. You have beautiful children, a really great family.
I'll tell you what, they're my most they're my proudest accomplishments of everything
They're amazing. When your daughter went off to college, I watched her graduation online. It was just, I'm just proud of them, and they're not even my kids. You're just around them and like, I'm so proud of you. Keep going.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I started when they were 1 and 3, so it kind of feels like they grew up with everybody. You're like, yeah, so thanks.
Yeah. So Felicia, thank you for inspiring us with your monumental pivot. Brilliant. Yes, it is. Look at this. I am very excited about my pivot. Yes, you're going to have a great pivot. People are doing it right now. And again, yay, Felicia Slattery. Thank you for that. Thank you for posting, Robin. That is, the recipe is already for that mug cake there. So you can make your kids happy and have them have a treat, and it's healthy for them. It's in there. Now, I got to know, do you have a YouTube channel? And what's the name of your show? How can people who want to know about your plant-based life thing cookbook coming out, is there a page where they can sign up early to be the first people to know about your book? Tell us it all. Hang on. Okay. Wait a minute.
Oh, wait.
Thank you for inspiration. At 83 years old, even at my age, I'm going to pivot.
Oh, wow. Love it. Love it. Listen, as long as you're still up and going, you still got stuff to do, right? So I love that. It makes, I can't even imagine, like, what would I do if I can't even imagine not doing something that I'm excited and passionate about. So yay. You're never too old or too young to start doing something that you love.
Yeah, this is really inspiring when you can do a show. And Felicia, thank you for your inspiration. At 83 years old, even at my age, I'm going to pivot.
Love it.
Yes, more.
I have plantbasedhomecooking.com. And so if you go to plantbasedhomecooking.com, that redirects you to a Facebook page or Facebook group. And in that group is where I am sharing photos and recipes. And that's where I'm going to be sharing all of my news. There will be a website that is available. I was planning a YouTube channel. I'm probably going to do a YouTube channel, but now with the TV show as a possibility, Brian, you weren't here. I don't know if you still are or not, but I was contacted yesterday by someone who is starting a television network and is interested in having my show, a cooking show, on their network. So I'm not sure how that would work contractually and all that businessy stuff, but I am at the moment, because I haven't done taken any steps other than somebody said, you want to have a show on my network? And I was like, maybe I do. So at the moment, I'm still planning to start a YouTube channel, and the whole brand will be plant-based home cooking, because that's what I do. I'm not a trained chef. I'm not like Brian Rogers. I'm not, I have no formal training. I didn't go to culinary school, that kind of thing. I just cook delicious food for my family, for myself, for my health, and for my life. And so that's what I want to help other people do, is get healthy, enjoy it. Like healthy food doesn't have to taste like cardboard, because if it did, you wouldn't bother, right? So you know what? You can sink your teeth into a delicious burger and have that burger be plant-based and every bit as amazing as the meat that you used to love that might not be so great for your body. That's all I'm going to say. So you absolutely can enjoy all of the foods just in a different way, and they can all be made plant-based. That's one of my favorite things, is let me take favorites. All right, I have a quick, short, tiny story to tell. It won't take me long. At the very beginning of this, I found a recipe for lasagna, a plant-based lasagna. Now, I grew up in an Italian kitchen. My grandfather's parents came from Italy. So I'm like third generation American, okay? Like hardcore Italian cooking. And I came across this recipe for this tofu ricotta and this plant-based lasagna. And as I was making it, I remember I was looking inside my blender. And I remember looking in this blender at this super liquidy mixture. And I was like, there is no way this is going to be good. And I was just following the recipe, pouring it on. I was like, this is going to be terrible. We're going to have to order a pizza or something. I don't know. It's going to be terrible. But I was like, I'm still going to follow the recipe. I put it in the oven. I followed the directions. I am telling you, you would not know the difference. It was so good. That tofu ricotta came out just like ricotta in any other. You put them side by side, you wouldn't know the difference. And my family was like, Mom, this is great. I thought we were doing plant-based now. I was like, yes, we are. So there are ways to make your favorite foods plant-based. So that's one of my favorite things to do is that. So anyway, there's my short story. So plantbasedhomecooking.com, and the brand will be Plant-Based Home Cooking with Felicia Slattery. Any TV show I do will be that. And the YouTube channel will be that. There'll be a website as I get it developed, and with a food blog and all of the fun things.
Felicia, two things. I love your pivot. I love who you are. I think you're so amazing at how you can transform things so easily and make it fun. The second thing is I really enjoy my working and my friendship with you. I love that you have been willing to just drop your day and come on the show whenever I ask. And I'm enjoying this so much. I want you guys to be connected to this plant-based cooking. I know I am. I actually already belong to the Facebook group as we work that. And I just want to thank you today so much for joining us on the Coffee Break Show and bringing all this fun on my 400th show. And I also want to take a moment to say everybody in the back who runs the show, who distributes the show, who my executive producer, everybody who does all the back tech for this show on this network. I just want to thank you so much for being and doing 400 shows. You never know when the 500 show will be around the time that her book takes off. We may pull her back on just to have some more fun. Felicia, thank you for being on the Coffee Break Show today. That is it from us. We will see you tomorrow. I know you're going to be buzzing about this. I just want to say, mwah! Thank you everyone for being on the show.